And never forget the ego's principle of one or the other. If you are guilty and sinful, I am not. That's just the rule. That's the law of the ego system. It's one or the other. And that's the fourth law of chaos. You have what you've taken. If you have it, I don't have it. And if I have it, you don't have it. That's why we don't let go of our abuse stories.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Duke, and this is my YouTube channel. Welcome aboard, all you new subscribers. Actually, I'm over 100 subscribers now. Getting pretty stoked about that. Making videos. Actually have an audience. Today's video, waking up in a world that is asleep. Some of you may or may not be familiar with the things I speak of, and that's okay. So one of the things to realize is everything we associate our identity with being a body is completely fake. It's completely made up. Everything, for the most part, that we learned in school and from the people around us, we learned from people that were also asleep. So a lot of the process of waking up is forgiveness. Not only forgiving the things we perceive in ourselves, but things that we believe were done to us by others. And there really, in reality, is only one self behind all the different sets of eyes and ears. There's only one self in reality. So we live in a world that's based on individual identity, and it seems real because of the vulnerability of the physical body was made in such a way to reinforce the idea that we're not actually infinite consciousness, but that we are actually flesh. And in a sense, that's the fallen identity. We've fallen into an identification with being a organic self. And this is also, in religious terms, it's referred to as sin, that all have sinned, all have fallen short of the glory. And sin is to miss the mark, to miss the point. So a sinful lifestyle is reinterpreted a little differently. It's not like breaking moralistic code. It's being under the spell. So judgment, criticism, condemnation, and attack, all those things come from believing that we actually identify with being a body, so we think other people are separate from us, so we stay stuck in victim, victimizer, and we stay stuck in specialness thinking. The temptation is to see ourselves as a body and to see other people as a body, so we get lost in identifying with winners and losers and specialness, that you can be more or less special than somebody else. We may get caught up in the trip of feeling sorry for ourselves, or another thing we can get caught up in the fallen identity is we think God did this to us. We think everything that happens to us in our individual scripts of being a body is being done to us by some malevolent God that's like testing us. And this can be a real fucked up way to think, is we stay lost in that, oh, God is testing me, God is doing this to me. But from the new perspective, we see that God didn't do anything to us, that this whole trip, this whole eating off the tree or tripping out on the knowledge of good and evil, it's all self-induced. It's like, or we took the bite of the apple, but we don't remember doing it, in a sense. And all these things are just metaphors. They're not meant to be taken literally. The mistake that fundamentalist religion makes is interpreting these things literally, and then you get caught up in that whole anthropomorphic God. Anthropomorphic God is a God made in the image of man, where we create God in our own image. So that's kind of like a trap or a prison. So there's so many different ways that we stay in this fallen, divided reality in our mind. And that's definitely one of the big ones, is believing God has done this to us. So it's very liberating to embrace the idea that everything that happens here in the world's dream of being a body, it's just a trip. It's just made up. It's like a game. This is like the ultimate game. And when we awaken, we start to awaken, you no longer can be a victim anymore. You don't have to be caught up in judgment. You know that everyone in reality is oneself. And you know they're asleep, so you can easily forgive them. The hardest forgiveness lessons, of course, are the ones that hit close to home. Usually, family and the people we're closest with. Deprogramming from those relationships is probably the hardest, because we were all born to a set of parents. We think we came from other people, from other bodies, and we ascribe certain roles to those bodies. So it's hard to break identification and see everybody as the same one. So we realize that we really have we're not a body. So the parents that we think are our parents aren't even our parents. It's just us disguised in a different biological mask. We all have the perception that we have an individual life, and that too is an illusion, because really it's the same self. So it can be shocking to realize these things, and giving up specialness is very difficult. So we have to learn to be like a third-party observer, where we observe in ourselves all these things, the judgments, the attack, the criticism, the specialness, all the ways that we eat off the tree, so to speak. So becoming self-aware, a big part is just admitting to ourselves that we're actually in a sleeping state. And to be able to grow up, in a sense, we stand on our own 2 feet and we take responsibility for our own mind. There's nobody to blame anymore. If there's 2 words to sum up, the whole awakening process, it would be no blame. So we realize that all the individual scripts of all these different human lives, from the game point of view, it's all designed to trick us into believing that it's real. So we have to respect the power of our own mind and forgive it. And then the purposes of our life shifts to the purpose of our life is to awaken. So the main ingredient in that is seeing everybody the same, and learning to truly forgive in such a way where we see everybody as ourself, and everybody's under the same spell. All have fallen short of the glory, all have sinned. but not sin in the sense that it's been programmed into us through the religious institutions. It's just looking at sin in another way to miss the mark. We've all fallen asleep. And we have to really be honest with ourselves and really ask ourselves if we really want to wake up from this game. And we have to see that those that we observe around us, many people that we observe around us, are at a point in the timeline when they are in so much denial that they will die in their sleep, in a sense. Many will die in their sleep. So we have to accept people where they're at. And that's really a big part of the forgiveness process, because we have to remember that a lot of people do not want to unplug yet. Many do not want to unplug from this thing. Because what unplugging means is it ends the game, it ends the fantasy that you were born as a body and you carry this victimization story. And we have to look at, too, all the things that we designed here to keep us out of our mind, to reinforce the sleep, this self-induced amnesia. Because the whole self-induced amnesia it's all about -1, where we check out from reality. Reality is no time, no space. We have everything because we are everything. And this is very scary to a mind that is asleep. The absolute God, if you call it that, our true nature, is terrifying to the human ego. The dream, the reality we perceive through the five senses, is a fake reality designed to keep us from knowing who we actually are. So if we get caught up in that delusion of like, oh, this is, God designed this for us, you know, to be happy little manifestors and make a wonderful life for ourselves, we have to really see through that game, so to speak. And that's a real tough part, because the tendency is that we'll die trying to get rich and trying to be happy here in the dream. So we have to see that all the roads of the world, they don't lead anywhere. We'll never truly find satisfaction in all the things that we've created here in this fake reality. This fake reality will never satisfy us. The only thing that will truly satisfy us is the kingdom of God, which is within, but it's not the fake kingdom of God, the fundamentalist interpretation. It's not something outside of us. It's our true nature, and it's not something we can truly lose. We can just stay here checked out of reality, pretending to be somebody we're not, and going through all the ups and downs, the pleasure and the pain game. But we have to come out of that eventually. So yeah. So let's see, I think that's enough of a ramble for today. But yeah, waking up in a world that is still asleep. Something to think about. Tell me what you think in the comments, and welcome aboard. If you made it this far in the video, then you're probably waking up in a world that is still asleep. So welcome aboard. Welcome to the awakening from the dream process. And I will look forward to making more videos. And remember, if you like the channel and you haven't subscribed, remember to subscribe and hit that bell, and you'll get notified when I make new videos. Thanks for watching.